Digital minimalism isn't about being anti-tech. It's not about throwing your phone away, but it is about intentionality. The term digital minimalism was coined by Cal Newport, who you might have heard of him before. He has been quite popular on YouTube, and he's a computer science professor. And basically, he is saying that technology should be used with a purpose, and it should be there to serve your values. In his book, Digital Minimalism, he says that it is a philosophy of technology use that encourages focusing online time on a small number of carefully selected and optimized activities that supports things you value, while intentionally missing out on everything else. It's a conscious approach to technology that prioritizes what's truly important and helps avoid being overwhelmed by the constant noise and distractions of the digital world. I think that the word intentionality is so key here when we're talking about digital minimalism and our use of social media, because something that we don't do when we go on social media is think about it intentionally. We never usually think, okay, I'm going to log on to Instagram or Facebook to look at this specific thing. In fact, most of the time we're logging on because we have a spare minute, or we've just woken up, or we've got a couple of hours before we go to bed, and therefore we use that time to just fill our time instead of actually using it for a specific purpose. But actually being intentional with it is asking, why am I even here? What is it that I'm doing on social media, on my digital devices in the first place? Also asking, essentially, what is the value that this brings to me and my life right now? So it isn't just about throwing away the devices that you have. This isn't what digital minimalism is actually about. In fact, it's just about making sure that you are actively using the things that you have, the devices and these tools, they are brilliant tools, but in a way that actually does serve you. Choosing quality over quantity and choosing to reclaim these tools that you have so that they don't end up owning you. We are most certainly seeing this rise in digital minimalism as well, and it's something that just wasn't really seen 5 to 10 years ago. In fact, I really cannot remember, as much as there is now, there being so much content on people deciding to only use social media for a couple of hours in the day, or saying that they're taking a break from social media, or that they're quitting social media as a whole. And there's so many more memes now as well about people saying, mum was right, it really was the damn phone, which shows that people are waking up to the fact that the overconsumption of social media and the fact that we are using our digital devices just all the time and constantly to fill every single minute is not good for us. I've seen so many people as well who have decided to just completely ditch their smartphone as a whole and instead have now opted for a flip phone. And so this is a video from Minimalist Tech where he's explaining how he is now using a flip phone.
If you've ever gotten the urge to go back to using a flip phone like the 2000s, this might be one of the best options available. This is the Mive style folder out of Korea, which is technically an Android phone that gives you all the apps you might ever want and need, all while still having that classic flip phone form factor. Now this did come out in 2023, so it is a little bit dated, but it definitely gets the job done. This would be particularly great for anybody who does want to curb their social media consumption, but still have all the conveniences of a modern day smartphone.
This is probably a bit more on the extreme end, which does seem a bit weird to say, because if you look at how far we've come with technology, I mean, in my lifetime, people were using flip phones, like 100%. In fact, lots of people just didn't even have phones within my lifetime, and the fact that now it's extreme to then use this flip phone, it's just weird, and just shows how much we've actually progressed and how much of a grip technology truly has on us. But yeah, we are seeing so much more content from people who are deciding to just completely ditch social media or to use it in a bit more of a productive way. In fact, my video on how I quit social media as a Gen Z and where I actually just started to use it a bit more productively and just really cut down my screen time is one of my most watched videos, which kind of surprised me at the time because I was thinking, this probably isn't going to do so well, who's going to watch this? But obviously a lot of people also had the same thoughts and feelings in that social media just wasn't serving them in the way that they wanted it to. So why is it that digital minimalism is really starting to catch on now? And I think there's a couple of reasons for why this might be. But firstly, I do think that being offline is something that is seen as cool, and you're actually like a cool person now if you're seen as being not online. There's, of course, this kind of pretentious idea to it. If you decide to tell people that you're no longer going to be using Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, or social media as a whole, there is this kind of idea of like, okay, well, you think that you're better than me because you're no longer wanting to be, online anymore. But honestly, it's like if you're not online, you are seen as being mysterious. You're not being distracted by what everyone else is. And so, in that way, it's like, I'm not like the other girl, like, I'm not like the other boys, like, I'm different. And there is a kind of pretentious air to it. It depends how you look at it, it depends who you are as a person. I suppose you can see it that way. But generally, it is seen as being like, okay, you're cool because you don't do that. And instead, you're deciding to find your dopamine elsewhere instead of the quick fix that is social media and your digital devices. For example, you're getting it in the way that is kind of like archaic now, but in a good way. Like it's old fashioned to read books, to watch movies, and to just have general real life conversations with people. Again, it seems so weird, but it is something that people are paying attention to more now as something that is cool and trendy to be that way. I guess because there is this idea of you being happy with your life. I think if you aren't on social media, then people do kind of see you as having more of that simpler life, and you don't need to constantly be looking at something you're not comparing yourself with anyone because you're just living your life as it is. You're detached from a lot of the things that people are talking about as well. This is kind of jealousy, in fact, of like, I wish that I was like you. I wish that I didn't know all about this stuff that actually doesn't actually mean a lot. So yeah, this really links with one of the key reasons as to why digital minimalism is growing. And the main reason is that we are tired. We are tired of doom scrolling, we are tired of the performativity, and we are tired of just seeing the same things, the same kind of brain rot a lot of the time, the same kind of meaningless things, and just comparing ourselves all the time. And we're actually just searching for something that has a bit more of a deeper meaning, something that's going to stick with us, that's going to, I don't know, move us a little bit more, something that feels a lot more real. And a second big reason is because the impact that it has on our mental health. As I just mentioned, again, it's kind of linked, but comparing yourself constantly. And there is study after study after study which talks about how excessive screen time is linked with things like not being able to sleep well, anxiety, depression. I have talked before in a video which I will link up here or over here, wherever it is, about how we aren't going out as much as young people and we're not having those social connections that the previous generations had, and therefore we are spending more time on our phones, online, and as a result it is creating that loneliness, and it is actually like a loneliness pandemic. It's happening everywhere because we are isolating ourselves, putting ourselves into this online world, and because we're doing it so much, so constantly, it means that now people are kind of realizing that this is just far too much. This roller coaster rush that you get every time you open TikTok or Reels, the constant quickness of it, it's too much for a lot of us to keep up with and for our brain to process, and therefore it just kind of brings in all of these negative feelings. Here's a video by the TikTok creator Tizzy.
I just spent 10 minutes on TikTok. One guy told me we're all going to die in 10 years. Another guy wanted me to buy a new camera for €300. Another video showed me how to make 10k a month. Then another girl told me that I need to lose weight and be skinny for summer, and how to achieve that. A video telling me to delete social media. A video telling me to start my content creator journey. All in the span of 10 minutes. We are not designed for this. Basically, she says that this is ironic because she's posting this on her social media account, but we are not designed for this. You don't have to listen to everyone just because they post on the internet. In real life, you wouldn't listen to everyone, so don't do it on social media and be much more selective.
But yeah, she is so right about this. Us as humans, we are not meant to live like this. We are not meant to see this much stuff before we even have our breakfast in the morning. It's not normal for our brains to constantly be looking at this stuff and to have it feeding into us as well. You know, stuff about, as she said, weight loss, about how to make a course to earn 10k in a month, about why you should buy this £300 camera. It's like things like this before you even can properly wake up, before you've even brushed your teeth in the morning. It's too much for your brain to handle. And I think because of this type of content as well, specifically this short form content, there are more and more people who are reaching towards longer form content, things like movies, books, but also things like podcasts as well, because we're seeing actually a dramatic incline in more and more people watching podcasts, and of course more and more people, I know it kind of gets talked about as like podcast bros, and some of the stuff talked about there on there is just, you know, it's rubbish. It's not anything that's actually helpful, but it does also show though that it is leaning towards this trend of longer form content. And I can't really think of a popular well-known YouTuber who doesn't have a podcast. The number of listeners of podcasts are just getting higher and higher. This year, 581, I believe, million people worldwide listen to podcasts. But I think all of this is leaning towards the idea that we are searching for deeper things. We are searching for deeper conversations. We are searching for things to actually get into rather than just the superficial short content that we are used to. So what does digital minimalism actually even look like? And I think to answer this question, it really looks quite different to a lot of different people. So you could just completely decide to stop using social media, but I don't think that that really is what digital minimalism is about. It is because we are in a world, to be honest, where being able to do that is pretty hard, and there's a lot of jobs now that are created that require you to be on social media, to have a presence on social media as a whole, as an actual job itself. It could be that you just stop checking your phone within the first hour in the morning, or it could be that you simply don't use your phone at all on the weekends. This seems to be the way that a lot of creators have talked about how they have decided to do digital minimalism. But if this is something that you're interested in, you can do it in whatever way that you see fit. The theme here generally is not just throwing it away completely, but asking what adds value and what drains me about my digital devices, my digital usage. So how is digital minimalism shaping the internet as we know it? And we have already talked about this a little bit, but if we go a bit more deeper, it is about more and more longer form content. I think also we're seeing more personal content as well, which again is something that I talked about in a previous video, how we're no longer really interested in these perfect, almost celebrity-like influencers and social media creators. We're not really interested in that anymore. We want to see real people, we want to see real things, we want to see real life, because that's something that we're craving, obviously. Social media algorithms are also starting to change to suit what people actually want from their platforms. For example, YouTube, they prioritize viewer retention now over simple raw clicks. So digital minimalism, as we've established, it's not about simply throwing away all of your devices. If that's what you want to do, then you can do that, but I think that that will be quite a struggle in today's world. It's not about going backwards in this way and saying no more, nothing, I'm going back to the Stone Age with 0 devices. Instead, it's about choosing the direction and which way you want to go, making sure that you know what you're doing and how it's going to serve you. Common thread of a lot of these videos and people who have talked about it as well is that they're able to finally understand a little bit more about who they are and what they want, when all of that noise telling them who they should be and what they should want is no longer there. So in a way, though we are logging off our devices, we are instead logging into who we are ourselves. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have ever tried digital minimalism and what you have done to help with your use of social media and perhaps to lower your screen time. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!